We're going to start with Heather Stefanson, the Premier of Manitoba, the PC leader. I think we all know who she is. What I want you to do is write down 3 or 4 adjectives. How would you describe Heather Stefanson?
One of them is kind of a follower. I feel like she's kind of mentioned right off the hop when she became leader that she was going to be a little different than the previous leader. And she's done some things, but I still feel like she's done a lot of the same. Okay. So that's my reasoning for follower. Another word I wrote, robotic. I feel like she doesn't show a lot of emotion.
Okay. Those two are maybe a little on the negative, but which is totally fair. But anything more positive about her?
I can't think of too much. No.
Okay.
I wrote entitled, elitist, and distrustful.
Okay. Distrustful.
Well, I distrust her. I feel like she doesn't represent me and my family. And part of that is intertwined with the party she's involved with. Okay. But she just doesn't come across as being in touch with my concerns and issues.
It's not very nice, but I find she's very forgettable.
Forgettable, okay.
I looked her up 2 or 3 times knowing I was coming to this, and I still kept forgetting her name because I'm just not hearing anything about her.
I see her being absent and lacking sort of the charisma. The one thing that's going to stick to her, like gum to a bottom of a shoe on a hot summer day, is going to be that stupid remark about her kids' hockey tournament that they won while they're talking about and having a serious discussion and questions about an individual that had passed away as a result of being transferred out of the province.
Okay.
That, to me, is a complete disconnect, not only in terms of your role and your issues of the moment, but in terms of, what's really important. And I have to be fair, that was a moment, and I'm pretty sure she's learned from that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I compare that to when she was the Justice Minister. I mean, she had an agenda, she had a plan, she pushed through lots of legislation, she pushed through a lot of positive changes. I saw more of her being positive in that context, in terms of driving those policies and those changes, than I have seen in terms of her leadership.
And I want to know what words, phrases, impressions come to mind about Wab Kinew, the NDP leader, the leader of the opposition.
If you look at the personality, good or bad, like charismatic and not bland. Not bland.
First one I used was pragmatic. The reason I said that is because he was quick to nip in the bud that he was not going to defund the police in any sort of way, contrary to the narrative that the PCs were trying to portray with him. Second is sincere. He just gives off a sincerity aura about him. Okay. Third word is accountable. And that relates to his willingness to address his past. He admits that he's had issues with the law in the past, and we all know that we can't go back and change the past, but we certainly can and should learn from it. And he has, demonstrating himself as someone who, despite an unfortunate series of events, and I don't know what those events were that led to him being involved in the criminal justice system. Mm-hmm. He's willing to address it and said, yeah, it was in my past. Yep. I own it. This is how I'm moving forward. Being a good role model for his 2 kids and others in his community.
He's very charismatic. He knows how to talk to people in a respectful way. Very passionate about what he believes, and he shows that emotion, I find. And for the people, obviously, he seems to think for Manitobans in general, not just his own self-serving kind of ideas.
I don't want to hear why I shouldn't vote for the other guy. I want to hear what you are going to do for me. Okay. The only negative is just that, he feels untested, and I don't know exactly what to expect if I were to vote in that direction. So it feels more hopeful, but I don't know.
Inexperience is where I'd started out, and because he's relatively new, he's a neophyte to the political scene. I think some of the things he brought out are impractical, they're ambitious. I mean, his past. I mean, I don't think he's done enough to own it.
Okay.
And I know what he's done. You've seen the record. And the PCs are hammering on him in that respect. And this is something he should come forward, because a couple of these things, I mean, they're not overly serious, and he has been pardoned for them. But as a political entity, he's got to own them. He says he's gone through that. But I think, you know, he needs to develop a more trust with the people that he has actually done that. And I don't think he's done enough to do that.
Is that past a deal breaker for you? Would you go so far as to say deal breaker?
So.
But no, okay.
I mean, it's DUI and domestic abuse.
Yeah.
I mean, there are errors that people make along the way. I don't think we need to hold that to them. But again, this is an issue, like that sticky gum issue for Heather Stephenson and her flippant remark, really bad timing. And it's about owning it.
Can we do this yet again, the same exercise? Give me all of those words that come to mind about Liberal leader Dougal Lamont. Manitoba Liberal leader Dougal Lamont.
I wrote down who, and I'm really, really sorry. Traditionally speaking, I feel like Manitoba hasn't had a strong Liberal history.
Yep.
I even started writing the wrong name for this, and I just saw his name today on a bus stop, so like, I know absolutely nothing about
him at all. Did the name Dougal Lamont, did that, like, have you heard that name before at least?
Not before yesterday.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
Okay, that's totally fair. Yeah. Alyssa, tell me.
I'm in the exact same boat.
Ah, okay.
Except I hadn't heard his name till you just said it, so.
This was the first time you heard the name Dougal Lamont?
The first time I've registered it anyway.
Oh, okay.
I know who Dougal Lamont is. He's quite intelligent. He's quite articulate. Certainly, you know, what I would consider someone that would be in a respectable leader position. If I had my druthers, I'd sooner vote for Dougal as leader versus any of the other two leaders. I think he would probably be a little bit more in that respect.
Dougal Lamont is someone who is very articulate, as Jeff said, and very practical in his policies, but the NDP have eaten the Liberals' lunch for decades in terms of policy, and the Liberals have just become so indistinguishable in Manitoba politics, which is unfortunate.
You know,